Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's SoulSaint here, and I wanted to show you guys some breakdowns on some of the most recent updates and recent things that's been coming out. And we're going to start with two things today. We're going to start with the Protector Summoning Pool, and then we're going to end it off with the Demonic Deck of Fate. That's right, we got two big events that came up, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of curious about what you guys think. I looked at the pool, and at first glance, I was like, it's okay, it's all right. And then I kind of looked a little bit more, and I was like, you know what, maybe there's something there. Maybe. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break it down and just give you guys perspective on some things where you can see some outputs, some options, some options, some viability maybe, and then of course we'll kind of break it there from letting you kind of decide whether or not this is the event for you to participate in or not. Now, with that being said, we have a Protector Summoning Pool that's just come out. And it looks like they're all kind of mostly HP-driven based champions. I mean, you see Owlsgore and you see some Knaves and some of the other champions that you would see that are very commonly used. Now, this one's going to be a little bit more open-ended because I have been experiencing, and I'll just give you guys a little bit of a showcase of where I'm at. I've been doing pretty well inside Faction Wars, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that not only my gear and my progression has been in a good stable spot, but it's also my diverse champion pool, right? Now, I'm not saying that my pool is like the highest, and as of the time of this recording, my understanding is that you should be roughly 810 or so stars in play if you've been going naturally across the board and not missing or skipping a beat. I've only missed two stages so far. One was due to time, and the other one was what do you call it? I ended up having a counterattack happen while the boss was under reflect damage, so I ended up killing myself and the boss at the same time, so I couldn't stop it from finishing up there. But those are easy to fix problems, right? We just gotta catch them when we catch them, and we're pretty much gonna go. But for the most part, I'm on top of it, right? So I've had a pretty good experience of kind of going through all the trials, all the different stages to give you guys some perspective, and I think that's where this pool may or may not have value for you. So I'm gonna take a look at the epics real quick, and I'm gonna kind of talk about whether or not I would say out of 10 these champions have been impactful in that regard, or just in general for an account, and that will span over the course of an early game, mid game, late game, and end game. So let's get to it. All right, I'm gonna start with the very bottom. It's Vrask. I'll be honest with you, I tried him out in early normal Faction Wars as someone I used, and I try to use him as like kind of like a pseudo healer to some degree. It's very low value. I've also used him in some key areas like Sin City, which is more like mid-game, late-game, in-game-ish, and he feels lackluster still, even after that. So I'll be completely honest with you. I feel like this one is kind of a low priority. I give him like maybe a 2 out of 10. Maybe you guys have a better experience with Vrask than I do, but I didn't enjoy him. I don't feel like he was as substantial or impactful as I thought he would be. Now, on the other hand, though, someone like Volgoth actually, being known for being these niche little boss killer fight type options, especially with the fact that he heals for every single time he takes damage, made him a viable option, especially for early mid-game. And just in general, he's a pretty solid provoker with decreased attack, that's AoE. And then, of course, he also has the ability to increase the duration of a debuff on a target by 1 turn with each hit. And he hits 3 times, so it's not too bad. Pretty solid options overall. Also, being able to place Legion doesn't make him a bad option. Now, as we progress into like the mid-game, late-game like semantics, and even in-game now, where like Faction War is kind of important, I felt like for myself, I didn't really have crazy options inside the Undead for provoking specifically. And that's where his kit kind of provided me a lot of value. Now, with that being said, let me show you what I have. I have like Ultimate Death Knight as A1 that I use, and I'm just looking at my legendaries just to be honest with you. I think we don't have anything there. Those are mostly just like utility. So like if you look at what we have for options, there's not really much for provoking, And that led me to like having to deal with using my epics for those particular restrictions that came up. And obviously we have like the Seeker on his A1, something kind of comparable. We have the Husk, who also has an A1, something kind of comparable. But then I was like, you know what about Volgoth? And I used Volgoth particularly for that stage that had the requirement for landing provokes. I think it was actually 2 stages sets. And this guy was tried and true for the Faction War hard mode. So if you're looking for somebody who can provide you that utility to help enable you clearing that trial, he's a really great option. Not to mention you could put him in a bolster set or maybe a control set in some capacity, and you get that extra layer on top of that, which can make him a force, a menace to be dealt with, Maybe since you're putting him in Provoke, one of my favorite sets to put with Provokers is Frost Set. So every single time after you provoke somebody, they're going to hit you back, right? Maybe capitalize off of the fact that sequence of events happens, and you freeze them, giving yourself another turn of uptime on CC on them, giving you plenty of breathing room to do what you need to do to complete the trial or to complete the wave, whichever works, right? So Volgoth actually kind of rises quite a bit in value for me, and I would say I give him a solid like 7 out of 10, maybe even 8 out of 10. He's a really good champion for that particular faction for what he does. Now, on the other flip side of this, we have my Celiac Priest Ornn, who does a lot of poisons and poison activations, pretty much in the summary words. I have not used him in Faction Wars hard mode. I will nod that in early mid-game progression, if you're looking to still progress yourself into Dragon and all these other different spots, he was one of the champions that was used as a solo normal 25 champion. He would be able to put poisons out, clear the ways, put poisons out, clear the dragon, and have food along the way to enable him in those builds with like regen or bolster or something along those lines. So definitely solid from early mid-game, but he kind of dies down a little bit as you go into endgame, and there's better options, obviously. I mean, you got your Nishaks, you got your Theodores, just to name a few that are pretty much just a better plug-and-play, right? As for Faction Wars Hard, I think there might be one, and we're going to actually take a little trip over here towards the Faction Wars side, where I'm going to break down whether or not he has any viability in the later stages. I think for the most part, most of them have been pretty simple. I don't believe he has any like debuff duration increases or anything like that. If you guys know, I could take a look again, but for the most part, it doesn't seem like anything's too crazy in using him. And the only other one that I could think of that was pretty interesting for him to be a part of would be if like they had kill an enemy or defeat enemies while they have X amount of debuffs or more. Maybe he could stack some of the debuffs and allow you to be able to capitalize off of that, you know, completing that trial. Let me take a look at him one more time just to make sure, but I believe for the most part, he doesn't increase the duration of anything, so it makes it less viable. And I would say overall, he kind of goes down from like a maybe 5 to a 4-ish out of 10 in terms of viability. Whereas like Magnar, for example, it's a little different. Magnar is known for being one of the earliest HP nukers that did really pack a punch, whether that's PvP. If you don't have many HP options, he could be a great plug and play. As well as he comes in with a extra little bit of utility if you line him up with a stun or a burn champion. He stuns right afterwards with his A2, which will give you some opportunity to basically give yourself some breathing room, some control. And I did use this particularly in Faction 1 Hard. There is a stage or trial where they require the demon spawn, I believe, to get stunned a certain amount of times or in order for you to be able to get the full rewards of that trial. Let's take a look here. So there was a stun one for 10, and I believe there might have been one more afterwards. Let's take a look. Yeah, 15. So those two stages were pretty clutch for him to be able to use, in addition to like maybe using stun sets on my Sissia, who I lined him up with. So that's what got me over the finish line for that one. Very, very solid champion. Really, really good nuker. Really, really good damage overall. I'd give him actually a solid 6 or 7 out of 10, maybe even 8 if you want to go there in terms of being really cool. Is he the end all be all? No, not really, but I think he's a pretty solid option for an epic. Then we have Delijah. Really, really good utility in terms of like being able to counterattack a lot and maybe controlling some of the ways with like maybe a stun set or something along those lines. Also has that continuous healed and shield, decreased attack, which is AoE, and then of course being able to apply poisons may not be a bad option. I have not built one or used one yet. I'm also in a pretty privileged position to be able to say that I have a diverse enough pool that's pretty solid in terms of control and being able to accomplish what I need to accomplish in that faction. So maybe not so much in terms of my experience, but there may be something there. I'm going to take a quick look at the Faction War side and see if there's anything that might be of value to you guys. There is poison debuffs that can be placed. She can be useful there. I believe that's one of the only spots that she actually does that. Defeating enemies while they're under 10 debuffs, she may be able to contribute towards that too as well. She does at least one on her A2, and then of course maybe hitting a couple extra times on the A1 could give you a little bit of value. So we may have to keep our eyes out for that, since that is pretty much the next set of stages we're going to be dealing with in a week and 4 days as of the time of this recording. So could be some good value there. I think overall there's probably better options. I mean, you have like Chagur, for example, which could just do work there, and you know, Chris kind of provides enough of the control on the or, you know, sustain on the ally protection side of things, whereas she may be, you know, kind of the alternative use there. I think there's just better options in the summary words, right? Now, we're going to skip over to the both of these, both the Rancid, Skinwalker. He has a heal reduction, which is on a 2-hitter, IA1, AoE, decreased accuracy, and then, of course, increased duration of all allied buffs by 1 turn. And then, of course, he also removes debuffs from all allies and heals them by 10% of their max HP and gives increased accuracy. A lot of viability. He also decreases the damage from allies getting poison debuffs by 50%, which is also not too bad. Now, as for factions in general, that actually has been one of the reoccurring effects in this experience for Faction 1 hard modes, which is like manipulating buffs or debuffs, which he does do. He does contribute some byproducts of some parts of that. I will say that champion pool also has some other free-to-play options that you can acquiesce over time, or if you're progressing enough. You know, maybe my mid-game, late-game, end-game players I've already gotten is Marius. He does debuff duration as well as packs a heavy punch. There is some other ones like Gwendolyn, who does multiple amounts of debuffs, but also can extend them each time she hits on her A1, making her a very, very clear option of viable usage, you know? So I think that it's kind of an uphill battle for both in that regard, but I will give a nod towards a lot of people. There was a particular Sin City stage that this champion provided a lot of value in to help you get over the finish line, and I didn't have it, so I had to find an alternative option, which means that he isn't mandatory, but he is a definitely high quality of life for that one. So I'll give him like a 6 out of 10 in regards to that being valuable. Taragi, obviously a pretty substantial powerhouse that has a lot of poisons, has a lot of ally protections, reflect damage, shield, provokies, which scales up in terms of efficiency for each debuff on the enemy, and then of course a A1 decrease attack. Very solid champion. I think overall pretty good. I didn't use him in my particular run, but I will say this: there was a section in the I believe it was the Shadowkin side that required you to kill enemies while they had a certain amount of debuffs on them, which is then the higher stages D10. Him being able to control as well as place a decent amount of poisons could be a catalyst for usage in this particular area. Right here, stage 19. I won't lie. I was pretty how do you say it? I was pretty lucky to have 2 Yumikos as well as Toshiro with Mikage. So I just kind of like basically infinity looped Toshiro and Mikage being able to control the fight, as well as Toshiro in his second form does nothing but AoEs. I put him in a toxic set, and I just kind of like stacked up as many poisons and extended them to infinity and beyond until I hit 10, and then I started nuking some of the targets down, and that's how I accomplished that trial. Not many of you guys may have that luxury, so maybe utilizing him in that regard could be valuable. And I'll give him a solid 6 or 7, almost maybe even 8 out of 10, because he's also useful in other areas for the early mid-game progressors like the Doom Tower bosses and whatnot, where you could see some usage there. So I'll give him an 8. Signy, on the other hand, I don't really know if I would use her per se. She does give increased res and decreased res along with reflect damage. Also has the chance to reflect the debuffs back onto him. It's a 20% chance as long as she has that buff in play. She's okay. She does have the ability of removing 1 debuff from all allies, excuse me, and of course a buff from all enemies, which is a nice little way to say she has like a pseudo strip / cleanse for her to use. Not too bad, and being an HP based champion, she has a higher HP pool to use. If you are struggling for options in the Bannerlords, you can obviously use her. There's definitely better. I'd give her like a 5 or a 4 out of 10 in regards to usage. Good, not crazy OP, not going out of my way to get her. Miscreated Monster, on the other hand, I am very proud of the fact that I got a option to use him. Very, very strong in stuns, as well as shielding and providing a lot of support, as well as keeping himself going, being able to provide veers. Very, very impactful in not only Curse City, but I'll give it a nod to some of the more recent Faction Wars hard modes. I believe he is an undead champion, correct me if I'm wrong. Or Knights Rev, I'm not entirely sure. Let's double check one more time, because I forgot. He is Knights Rev. Okay, so Knights Rev wise, I would say there's actually a lot of options you could use that are more substantial than him, but I use him in addition to those, and it made that quality of life so much more easier. In some words, I used them in Faction Wars Hard. Stun debuffs, as well as I believe he also had the opportunity to maybe do the epic usage there. There's pretty good options where I used him quite a bit actually for Faction Wars, and I actually liked him. He's pretty good. He's been one of my personal. I enjoy him using him quite a bit in terms of like general usage across the board. He's really cool. Also early game too, if you're looking for an option for helping control the spiders when you're on your up and up, really good champion there to use that, protecting your team as well as being able to stun and control and maybe even line up a big nuke for a single target hit with his decreased defense. Makes him a very good option. I give him a 7 or 8 out of 10 actually. Really a solid champion. I like him a lot. I reserve the 9s and 10s out of 10s for like the legendaries and mythicals, to be honest with you. So it kind of makes a little bit of sense that he's on the higher end side for epics, in my opinion, in that faction. So pretty solid. You also have Illusinia. I think she's very easy to kind of be replaceable by alternative options. You got champions like Deliana, who was a free login champion, I believe. And they've had plenty of events where she was acquiesceable. So I would say that like this is just a weaker version of Illusinia with a block buffs and shields and strengthens and stealing random buffs and all that stuff like that. She's okay. There is one area, if you don't have Deliana in Sin City, then she would be the next runner-up. So obviously not a bad option there. I would say in terms of high elves, I have not used her at all. I've not built one at all. I think she's only really a champion that might be used for Mikage fusion, if memory serves me correctly. And I don't necessarily think I would go out of my way for her. Whereas like Husk, he's a god tier champion. This champion has proven time and time again how useful he is. Hydra, Provoker, Hydra damage dealer with enemy max HP hits, Sin City control / damage, and let alone another champion that I would say in terms of epics that I have used in tandem with some decent legendaries to propel me in Faction Wars Hard, believe it or not. Not only from provoking standpoint, because I use him in tandem with Vogoth, but I also used him as a stun champion for those particular stages too as well. Very solid champion, very consistent. He does the job, and he does decent damage in my opinion. So useful across a lot of areas. If there's a boss fight, a lot of bosses in one boss fight, like Hydra for example, really good option. I give him an 8 out of 10 easily. There's no denying that. My little resident sleeper Duidon, though, I would say I've seen less usage of him. However, I won't lie, in particular, Sin City's where I see his biggest value. So my mid-games to late-game champions, you'll see a lot of value there. Early-game champions, I think he's a great taunter, strength, and counterattack champion that also provides shield for everybody. Really good in terms of controlling and cleansing pseudo in an aspect. So if that's all you got to use what you got, right? But I would say that, like, outside of that one Sin City scenario where I saw a big value out of him, he kind of fell off a little bit for me in usage, not only from a Faction War standpoint, but also in Sin City. My champion pool evolved, and he kind of fell down in the ranks. Nevertheless, though, I give him like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Solid champion, at least worth building one of, if you so happen to get one. Then, of course, we got our legendaries and our headliner. I'm not going to go too much into detail about this, but I think it's very good to say that, like, there's a support-only team where in Sin City that makes Snake Track very valuable if you don't have the alternative options like Samson or some other options in general. He's a good plug and play because he's also a part of that. It's like HP / support champions only. He is known for having reflect damage, which is kind of useful in one particular scenario against the Chimera, but I think a lot of people have been saying that it's hard to kind of get that damage out, especially since he puts decreased attack in play, which makes the damage that the boss does a little bit less. It's a little rough, right? But pretty solid. He actually can pack a decent punch if you build him up offensively speaking, as an HP nuker. Krokmar, the replacement for him as one of the alternative options in that particular Sin City stage, I used him as I got him, and he does the exact same thing, just a little bit more impactful. He's definitely designed to be more offensive, you can tell. And then there's Bells. Bells is actually low-key a resident sleeper for... people are sleeping on him when it comes to Hydra content. I mean, block buffs, leech, as well as being able to steal buffs and just do big damage. He not massive amounts. I'd say he's like a B or C tier-ish kind of nuker in a sense compared to like the overall scope of pools available. But nevertheless, the utility he provides is very, very solid. Very, very strong champion in that regard. Definitely worth getting. Arashi, solid kit in terms of like the premise of it, but the multipliers and the output seems to be a little lackluster. I think a lot of people were saying his aura is not bad in terms of being an arena speed focus if you want to use him for PvP. He kind of screens to being PvP oriented, but not too crazy. Also, the meta is pretty heavy towards blue, with a lot more recently, a lot more red sprinkling in, so he's a little bit less valuable in terms of an option, but solid champion nevertheless. Pardon. One of the original champions that partnered with Senna for the Speed Blitz team in Chimera. If you're looking to do massive amounts of damage, he complements her with giving a lot of continuous heals, as well as being able to heal, cleanse, and just keep the ball going, in some words, right? So, turn meter boosting go hard. He's good in that regard. If you have a need for a cleanser to keep your team going and trying to avoid too much debuffs from some of the scenarios in Faction Wars, he may not be a bad option. I didn't use him. I had a heavy control-oriented comp in Armands and Odin, so obviously I didn't need to worry about the defensive side of things more, but if you don't have that luxury, obviously he could be one of those type of champions that complement keeping you going. So, really cool champion in that regard. Noct. Now, this one's an interesting one for me because I actually think this champion is not that great. However, as time has gone by, he has found a place where he is actually viable, if not one of the only viable options to use from an ability standpoint, and that is the sleep. The sleep is very important in the regards of being able to accomplish, I believe, one particular scenario in Faction Wars Hard Mode, which is applying 10 plus sleep debuffs, and I think that's the only time you have to do it. So outside of that one stage, you pretty much, I wouldn't necessarily say he's a big viable option. I mean, you could use him maybe for a sleep setup champion in your, Sand Devil team, to lace up, like, and line up your team, like, similar to what my Sippy does for my speed teams. He can maybe be that top end for that by starting off with a sleep, right? I won't lie, I did get around it because I don't have a Noct myself. I ended up getting around using that as my go-to option for that particular trial, and I just made up for it with days, and I just reset it until I got what I needed in terms of the sleeps and being effective with that, and then I just cleared the stage. So, Noct a low priority. I actually would say out of all the champion pools here, he doesn't really feel like the most impactful for this squad, to be honest with you. Hate to say it. He's not that good. Knave, on the other hand, though, with the health swap, also being able to provide a taunt, continuous heal, and being able to provide a heal reduction. There's some rotations where you may not have like a crazy pool of accessibility for Amius in Sin City. He could be a great option for the boss, where heal reduction may be necessary if you're trying to avoid him out-sustaining you. It's a battle of attrition, right? He could be a good option there. Maybe not the best, but pretty solid in terms of being able to provide that heal reduction. And it cannot be removed, transfer, or have its duration decreased by enemies, which means that once it's up and running, you got it, and it's not going anywhere. So it's pretty good in that regard against bosses in general, I think. Like Amius, which it could be really useful. And then, of course, being able to use him as a taunt champion to kind of alleviate your team from taking too much battle of attrition type effects in Undead could be pretty useful. I don't use him myself personally. He's kind of a Vault Guardian for me, so not really too valuable. Alsgor, on the other hand, though, early game, if you're looking for a block damage champion to speed tune up a team, I think I did at least one video with Alsgor in for Demon Lord to start getting some shards. This could be a great option. He does heals on top of that, as well as a pretty solid champion for Sin City in one particular stage if you don't have someone like Alaz. He was like basically the runner-up for, so pretty solid option for that for early game, as well as you're transitioning mid-late game. He does fall off a little bit in terms of like viability because we start going away from needing these traditional teams, and options should become more available, so Alsgor does come down a bit. And then, of course, our headliner, we got Grachos. Grachos is an interesting one because he does heal any allies that are less than 50% by 10% of this champion's HP, so he scales on his own, making him really great. It's not dependent upon the target. If you've got a squishy, his HP is not going to be that high, whereas Grachos could be really bulked up and you can get a substantial heal that can max out the squishy, so that's really good. His A2 is pretty nifty for Hydra. Attacks all enemies and being able to apply decreased defense and maybe even block buffs is pretty solid. And then, of course, being able to provide block damage and increased defense within a 4-3 turn cooldown is pretty substantial. Could be used for a Demon Lord. Obviously, early games could benefit from him. Mid games to late games, you start seeing a little bit more of a fall off, maybe as an option for decreased defense and block buffs for Hydra content if you're still looking to have one and maybe not other options. But one thing that's kind of interesting about him is that his passive, whenever they are more than 50% HP, they are able to deal 10% more damage. These types of passive effects can be very useful in some of the higher end content. So if you're looking for damage outlet options for speed blitzing event dungeons, like how I use my Theodosa or my Ashnar with their passes in mind to enable my damage to cook. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's pretty quick. It's like 6 seconds long. It's not even that long. Pretty quick. Anyways, with that being said, Grachos could be maybe an alternative option. Maybe not the best, but pretty solid in that regard. So maybe someone that I would say could be useful in that house. He looks really, really cool. Probably one of the better designed demon spawns in my opinion. He reeks of awesome, man. And I'll just be honest with you. I think this champion pool it's lackluster. I'll be honest. I'm not really that excited about it. If I so happen to get involved with, and I probably will, I believe there is a Gear Ascension tournament coming up soon where they'll have at least one pool's worth of, what is that called? Prism crystals. I may dabble in a pool with that in mind, but I won't necessarily go out of my way to purchase and try to get this all up and going for where I'm at in the game. However, with that being said, I've also owned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish of the legendaries already in the board. And this is where I will also say this too. Keep in mind that if you're looking for late game trajectories, this champion pool is kind of all over the place when it comes to Faction Guardians. So this would not be one I would get involved with for the sake of Faction Guardians unless you have duplicates already. And you would be really enticed by wanting to go for Grachos. Obviously, we are in a campaign period where if you get all of the campaign champions, you get a little bonus on top of that. This is one of them. Could be useful if you're so interested or you're so inclined. Obviously, Tholen was one of the other ones. I don't necessarily know if I would go out of my way for it, but considering what I got, the only ones I would be interested on are the very lackluster champions in this pool, which would be like Noct. So I happen to get him and a copy of him. We'll be helping out with my Dark Elves. And then, of course, I believe like Bells I have one copy of. That could maybe get me a little bit more accuracy for my teams in that regard. And that's pretty much it for the most part, right? I'm pretty much in a decent spot now where like I'm only missing 1, 2, 3 for Ogryns, 4 for High Elves. I'm only 4 factions away from being done with a 10 out of 10 Faction Guardian push, right? So out of all the options here, I got 1. And that's it. Yeah, 1. So it's kind of like not worthwhile for me to go out of my way for. However, I'm curious about what you guys think. You guys let me know in the comments below if this is something you'd be interested in, and if you're willing to go for it. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the last little bit of the events that kind of came out in this live. The Demonic Deck of Fate event. I know this one's very controversial for some people. Believe it or not, I'm probably going to get involved with it. And the reason why I was thinking about it was I have resources to do it, and I'm now, in terms of focus for my account, I'm trying to improve my blessings across the board. So there is an explicit, or not explicit, but an expressed interest. If the deals are right, if the finances allow me to do so, I will probably dabble in getting some more Soulstones to kind of help push my account along in terms of blessings to be more competitive. Why not get extra rewards on top of that? That's where I'm at with it. Also, in particular, I am a fanatic. I wouldn't even say a fanatic. I am one of those type of people that's very aware of how the meta has evolved due to the impact of things like relics. This particular event is going to give you a lot of relics. Now, free-to-play people, this is probably not one of the more lucrative ones. If you're also looking to enhance your blessings like how I'm trying to do, I would argue that unless you're willing to spin, which is what I kind of preface this conversation with, this is not the one to go for. There's no 2x or anything like that to get involved in. So I don't think it's all that. I do think that being able to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different summoning opportunities for relics are pretty decent. There are 2 particular ones, maybe even a third, I would say, out of this entire pool of relics that are valuable, that I would like to dabble in and get my hands on. I would say that, being able to shoot my shot at those is going to be pretty good. Even if I don't get those, the whatever remains of my pools could be food for something I do like, something that's pretty impactful. Maybe that wand, that aspect of Siroth you have that you really want to deck all the way out, or maybe that mythical piece you have that you got lucky pulling somewhere else. You can maybe invest some resources to enhance it even further, rank it up, and using that fodder, for example, to get that is not bad. Now, it sucks that we also don't get no pinned pin cards to allow us to get some opportunity, because this particular pool is a lot better, and I got to give my hats off to Plarium in terms of the rewards for getting multiple rarities in the same row, like 3 in a row, whether that's uncommon, rare, or epics, is pretty decent. Chaos Ore is pretty solid. All rarities involved. We like gems. We don't care for the chicken/feast. Kind of mediocre. Books, depending on where you're at in the game, epics are decent. Legendaries are good. Mythics even better. Now, as for the uncommon section here, I would say that the core hammer, depending on what your focus is on the game and what you're trying to craft at the time in Forge, this could be useful. Low prio, though, right? There's other opportunities, other areas where you can acquire this. However, Essence is basically at the mercy of you pulling or you getting it from Iron Twins. So it's a bit of a farm fest and a bit of you have to pace yourself, and you have to have that realistic expectation that you got to wait for resources to come in. So being able to acquire 15 or better yet 10 of the golden essence could be a trajectory towards pushing you to being ready for that 3rd star or that 6th star or that 5th star, depending on where you're at. And getting your champions more enhanced to be more effective, right? So I am very, very enticed by Essence in general when it comes to events, especially as an in-game player. Blessings are a big focus for me. It's a big deal. Maybe I could prioritize my Soulstones towards getting the mythicals and then use the essence that thereafter to kind of invest towards those one-offs here and there. I'm probably going to keep pulling, to be honest with you, but if I get essence, then that's obviously where I invest at. And they did mention down the road that they were going to be putting or changing off some of the way that the environments go for the soul merchants, where we may start seeing mythicals nowadays too as well, in terms of like enhanceable options. So having access to essence could be even more lucrative depending on where you're at. And after that, of course, we have our shards. You got the blues, you got the purples, and you got the reds. Obviously, I'm on a big mythical hunt myself. Still want that Gala, still want that Nell. Voids have actually kind of risen a little bit more in value. There's the Niames, there's the newer champions that are coming out that are pretty substantial, I think, that are pretty valuable. Their passes are pretty god tier. So getting Voids are not bad. Obviously, I still don't have a Terrace, and I know he may not be crazy OP like he used to be, but I still wouldn't mind one. It doesn't hurt, right? And then, of course, your Ancients, not so much a value of importance for me. I use it mostly for events now. But depending on where you're at in the account, anything is good. From early game, then you can be a little more choosy as you establish a champion pool as you go up. So definitely a good option. I am going to congratulate every single person that watches this video right now. If you've made it this far, comment, I stuck for the long haul. Because what I'm going to do up as a part of this video is I'm going to pull my Soulstones. So we're going to get ourselves a little bit shaken up and ready. I want to check my wish list here. Am I happy with my pool of options? I do like Rotos. I do like Arnorn. I do like Senor Tetsuya. I wouldn't mind those as an option. Let's see. Let me break this down a little bit more. Where do I want to go with my champion pool now? I think for the most part, all of my PvP involved champions for the most part are 5 or 6 star, or 5 star pretty much is where they're kind of hovering at. It's weird how it ended up that way. But my PvP side has kind of gone down just a teeny bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'll leave in Arnorn as my future PvP project as soon as I can get some more blessings for him. But I'm going to take down Rotos for the smalls. Tetsuya could stay in there. That's fine. I kind of just have him as a miscellaneous option. Who was someone that I thought was really impactful in the champion pool side of things that I thought would be worth a nod? I could go Cavalex for Arachne Elixir, but that's more so PvP, which I wouldn't mind. It wouldn't be a bad option. Let's see what else we have here. I got a G-Nut that wouldn't be bad to invest towards. I got a third one that I would like to do. Maybe that could be an option. Dutch is already 5 star. Necmo, I think, is 5. Blizzard is 5. I think Loki's 5. All these guys are 5 for the most part. My Pydrag, my Sun Wukong is already mixed up at the top end. Theodore, I have a +4 version of him. I think he's only got like 2 star, 3 star, so he could be a good option there. My Archer 6 star already, at least my first one. The second one's kind of just sitting in the vault. Foley, I already got my value out of him for the Faction War Hard side of things, so I didn't need a blessing for him. I just got him in some really strong gear, let him cook. None of the rest of these seem to be enticing. Let's keep it going. Let's keep looking. I got a 5 star waiting for Owella, so that's not really a big deal. Ishla could be pretty interesting. Let's see. What else is there? Kaimar could be pretty interesting. Lenakis could be pretty interesting. Really, I kind of got like an open-ended option set for what I'm using here, and I don't think it's actually that bad, to be honest with you. So I think I may just go ahead and go... Very difficult to answer, you know? It's kind of like we got options, man. We could do Gina to be safe, but I think I'm going to go ahead and consider Cavalex for now. I think he'd be a fun little one to get like some kind of blessing for. All right, with that being said, we're going to pull the 5 and we're going to pull the 90 afterwards. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Rage! Yo, if I get a banger, by the way, cover your ears. It's going to be loud. You might want to reduce the volume now as a preemptive warning because it may get a little lit. Okay, we started with the 1-star Drake. Nothing too crazy. I did the math, and this is without flipping any resources. Like, for example, you know, as you pull 10 out of 10 of smalls and mediums, you can get like extra currency, as well as like selling the whatever I get from these. I was kind of thinking that, you know, I'm already at a good pace, a good trajectory of getting at least half of the Deck of Fate done. So I think not too bad. But if I so happen to get even more on top of that, I'm not going to complain. So I'm actually going to pull everything here for content, for the video, because I appreciate you guys. So like this is going to be something that I didn't take into consideration, but I can at least get over half. I think I'll get like 2/3, maybe even close to 3/4 of the way done. So I'm pretty much going to be able to do most of it by just pulling what I have right now. The lessers, I don't really care for. The mediums and the large one is pretty much where I'm hoping to get bangers for. So let's say we get some dope ones. I really want to get mythicals if I can help it. I want some particular mythicals like Nais or my Theodosa would be cool to get some blessings on the board for her. And that's what I'm looking for. So, Prage, obviously if we get like 6 stars, I want it to be some of my more competitive champions like Rotos, Harima, Yellow, and we got an Ultan, which we don't care about. But yeah, like some of those options could be pretty decent. Yellow! Dracul, I don't even have a Dracul. So 2 out of 2 for not having those champions at all. It kind of feels bad, man. It's obviously not 2x, so you got to set your expectations lower. And I will also disclaimer this. I am planning to get some more Soulstones in the event there's another big 2x coming up. So obviously, I'm looking towards the future with being able to do it. So I have that already planned in motion to invest towards as time goes by. So this is not something that everybody should do. I'm just doing it because I want to do it for a video, as well as I want to just kind of, I don't know, I'm itching to pull some Soulstones. So I'm doing it. And that's where we're at. Let's see what else we got. Got a purple, Frostbreaker, yellow, it's a Timid, yellow, it's a Torvald. I don't have a Torvald, so that's kind of a forward. Timid, though, some people may have used him in Sin City as well as recently with Faction War Hard Modes. He may not be a bad option there, actually. Because I did throw Kaja in a couple times without Timid. Maybe with him it could be even better. I don't know. I didn't need to because I had some pretty decent Bannerlords to use. So I think I have a blessing already on him that's a little bit higher than 1, so that might be just a straight sell. We'll double check though when the time comes. See, got a lot of blues along the way. A Duidon, a Yalagarna, Farsalis. Yellow, it's a Necmo. I already have one at 5 stars, so that's not worth doing anything else for. I don't plan on building up a second one either at the moment. I barely use my first one outside of like Chimera, which he's very, very strong in. But outside of that, it's kind of gone down. A 5-star Yaga. I wish that was a yellow or a mythic, and a mythic that I have, particularly Tiwa that I care about. Let's see. We got Gwyneth now as well. Looking kind of dry over here. I wonder if maybe this is not the right time to pull. Feels bad, man. I have this tinfoil hat theory that there's waves. There's waves where it's like hot and waves where it's like kind of cold. And I don't know. Sometimes it feels like I'm hot and sometimes it feels like I'm cold. And right now it feels feeling like it's frio. Got a prosecutor, 4-star. Nothing too big here. This is a pretty big dud. Honestly, these are lessers too, which I don't have a very positive mindset about. Even during enhancements, I just feel like they don't scratch that itch like you wanted to, you know? Whereas like the mediums are my go-to. I vouch for them on a daily basis. And then of course the big ones, I have had some positive experiences. But I also only pulled during the 2 big X one where they actually enhanced the Eternal. So there's obviously some bias there. Let's see what else we got. We got Corporate Cadaver, Nizana, Bushi. Let's see. Nothing crazy here. Another set of bad 10s. It's a little unfortunate, but I will say this. We are gaining currency setting up for this, so it's going to be pretty nice. And once we sell everything and kind of collect what we earned, we got a yellow here, and it's a knave. Speaking of a champion in the champion pool. Talk about enticing, huh? I think I have a blessing waiting for him, or I already blessed him. I don't remember. I went on this like trip of like blessing up champions so I can get a badge that made me look all fancy-pantsy for my profile picture. Oh, yellow! And it's a Fortis. Shout out to my boy Amatsu. He's a big fan of it. Tiger Soul. Sentinel, not a decent rare that I used in some Sensitivity and some Doom Towers, Secret Waves. Same thing with Marauder, might be not bad options there. But it looks like that is it. Let's collect our results here. We got enough to pull a couple more of these Immortal Soulstone, so I may do that. I was thinking about, it popped in the shop for me today. I was thinking about maybe setting up to buy 30 of these Essence so I can lock in a Norn. And I may just do that, actually. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit of this off here. I know it's going to be kind of a dud there to not get anything, but I'm going to get the 300 there for that one. I'm probably going to be able to collect maybe a little bit more to do another purchase here. So let me go ahead and get rid of some of the ones that I don't particularly care for. Knave can go. I think Timit's already blessed. No, he's not. Let's go ahead and give that to him then. He can have that. A little onesie. I think that's pretty much it, though. We got a couple of 4s that I might have got some upgrades for. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's go ahead and add some flavor to them since they are already 6 startup and whatnot. I don't remember if I ever used Hoffery's in Faction Wars Hard. I don't think so far. But Nizana in Sin City is pretty strong. I use it in some pretty key areas in Soul Cross, the hardest difficulty area there. Aenax was kind of a little bit of a letdown in one particular area, but I also didn't go all the way in on a build for him. So I know single target-wise, he could be pretty decent. Nothing too crazy. And then, of course, Marauder. That Doom Tower / Sin City stage, he was pretty valuable. He got me over the finish line, so earned my respect there. Berserker, this is kind of just a throwaway. It's not really much value there, but I'll take it. We're going to go ahead and sell the rest, though. Knave can go. Let's see what else we got here. Keep these. Get rid of the Ishlin. Get rid of the Necmo, Fortis, Drakgul, Torvald, Lethlin. All these down here kind of like not really worthwhile investing towards. I have a Yaga. Don't care to build him, so he's going to get sold. Who knows? Am I going to regret that? Y'all let me know. I don't think so, though. I think for the most part, I've been pretty good about my choices of who I've invested towards. Tiger Soul. And it feels like he's not one of those that are a viable option, even though he's a free to acquire champion. You know, you get him as a part of the daily login, and he's just, I'm good. He's food. That's the way I look at it. And I think we are on the tail end. We got a couple extra little resources there, so that's not too bad. We got enough to get 2 more of these, though, so I'm going to go ahead and max those out, grab those. We can do at least 1 pull, and then we're going to pull the 20 here. Let's give it another nod here. I think we're going to definitely have more than enough to get over the finish line. I won't lie. My resources are looking kind of low, though, so I'm a little concerned in that regard, but that's what Faction Wars does to you. It takes your silver. And hopefully I'll be able to finish it out within this next rotating week. And I can just get back to farming naturally and getting some silver back, because that it's hurting. It's hurting the amount of silver intake, and I feel like we needed some options. They got something along the way, I believe, with free gear removal as a part of the daily quest you can get, so that's going to be kind of nice. Anyways, let's get our first big one. We want bangers on this one. Page! We got a purple to start off. That's super important. And it's a Lich 5-star. That's kind of not what we were looking for. We're going to pull our 10 bangers here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Page! Come on, baby. I need a banger. Give me some yellows. Give me some reds. I need some reds, honestly. Skull Crown. Oh, we got a fresh mythic! It's Mesomail. I don't have her, but I have a 6-star waiting for her, so that's a sell. Regis, yellow! It's Khan. I don't have Khan either. Come on now. Oh, yellow! It's Blood Gorge. I do have a Blood Gorge. I think he's already blessed, though. I'm not sure. I had to double check that one. Let's see. I am gonna go ahead and rinse and repeat, sell some of these, and get back to you guys in terms of getting some silver real quick, and then we'll continue pulling. All right, we're back. I had to go get some silver real quickly to enable a little bit more oomph behind our pull. So we ended up selling some of the extra stuff that we had over to. I may be able to get one more extra Immortal Soulstone, but I am going to pause after the 10 and see what we get from there and kind of like go from there, all right? So with that being said, the last possible 10 pull is Page! Hopefully something good, man. I actually kind of feel like we haven't got anything too crazy, like substantial at the moment. Fane 5-star is pretty cool. Not what I'm looking for, though. Legendaries and Mythicals, particularly the Mythicals. We got a yellow. It's Capital X 3-star. Okay, so we finally got something on the board for him. That's kind of cool. Let's see what else we got here. And it ends in purples. Note to self, never pull during a non-2X event ever again. All right, I'll take it, though. I'll take it, though. So we have enough to maybe pull a big one, but I wanted to see where we're at with the event, because I did get a little extra something along the way. I'm just going to go down in columns here and just see what we get. Got a purple. Got a green, not the spread there. Give me a... Oh, my God, another purple. A blue. The spread. No. Let's see. Oh, 2 purples. Okay. Here we go. Oh, and then it flips over to a blue. How about unlucky? Okay, we got 1 green set here. What do we get our hands on? We got a purple. So, okay, Chaosaur. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's see. We got blues. Got purples again. Got greens. Talk about unlucky. Green again. Come on, 1 more green. Oh, it's blue. Okay, stay blue then. 2 blues. A green, come on. Blue. Green. Blue. Oh, my God. Purple. Blue. It's so spread out. They did this on purpose. They know I go down in columns, man. Look at all that spread. Got another purple here. I'm feeling this one. I'm out. No! Okay, so I got a little bit more I got to pull. I think I may be able to finish this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, something I didn't talk about this deck of Fate, which is not too bad, is the fact that you can also farm accessories and artifacts. So, I did, for every run, mostly, I would say, I was getting about like 50 per on stage hard 10. I wonder, for Spider, I wonder how it would be if I were to farm Event Dungeon. Maybe a mixed bag of that could give you a pretty decent amount as well. So I would say that this is possible. I could stop here and then just farm up for the next 10 days or next 3 days, and I'd probably be able to get it done too as well. But you know what? I'm feeling a little spicy. We're going to go ahead and pull our Eternal Soulstone and see what we get. And our winner is, come on, baby, be a mythical. It's a purple. Karam! Oh, this is so trash. I'm for it. Well, that's how she writes it. Let's see. I am... I actually got a couple of rewards here, too, as well. I wasn't expecting that. I have not been trying in this Demon Slayer event. I feel like it's been a little lackluster in terms of desirability, outside of maybe, like, some key things here on the side, but... Yeah, and that's the thing I want to go crazy out of my way for, so I kind of feel like it's... I'm all right, you know? Got a blue there. Got a purple. Got a green. Got another green. Ooh. Then hopefully that's going to be a green, because that's going to be the next one I pull there, and I think we can go from there. But yeah, I'm definitely going to probably farm the rest from here and call it. But you guys let me know what y'all think about the event. I feel like this is possibly a good skip for a lot of folks. I do think that the relics are an interesting choice, an interesting option to go for. So I am going to go ahead and see this through, since I've already kind of pulled a decent bit now. But anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always remember, stay ascended.